Ali Muhammad.
Okay, okay. Everyone has been sitting for a while. Everybody sound like they've been sitting for a while. Right? We want to get the blood level up, the energy level up, but that salawat was. Sisters are laughing at us, man. We didn't use our male voices. Right? So let's try it again. It's on salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And one for Bibi Fatima alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And one for Imam Hassan bin Hussein.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And the last one for the Imam of our time, Imam Zaman alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum and Eid Mubarak to each and every one of you. I hope that inshallah Allah Ta'ala blesses us to carry the lessons of Ramadan into the next year, until the next Ramadan, inshallah. Keep us on the straight path. Tonight's program was the result of a conversation that took place shortly, like a day after the janazah of Ilyas, the son of Brother Saifuddin. Because we had some brothers and sisters who attended the janazah who were not familiar with the way the followers of the Ahlul Bayt did things. And they expressed interest, expressed curiosity, and in many cases expressed admiration for the way the janazah was handled, the way it was conducted. And we thought it would be a good idea for those brothers and sisters to have a chance to come out and ask the Sheikh, so to speak, We had some challenges with organizing, and then we had some folks who were coming, but at the last minute, I know from me, I got some text messages say, sorry, I can't go. One brother actually didn't, he said he was coming, maybe he's on his way, but sometimes people drive past the entrance, and they go back and forth, and after 10 times they go home, right? So that may be the case right there, we got to wait for them to run out of gas right here, then we'll rescue them. Right? So what we're going to do, inshallah, we're going to sort of change the format a little, right? And our beloved Sheikh AbdulJaleel is going to be traveling tomorrow, inshallah, going home and leaving poor us here. Sad, right? To taking the children home to, mingle with their family there. So he'll be gone for a month. So for the next month, inshallah, we'll have to do without his guidance. And is that me? That's somebody. Okay. We'll have to do without his guidance. But inshallah, we get some tonight. So we were going to just focus the presentation towards the followers, our guests from the School of Al Sunnah. We were talking about the evolution of the madhabs, right? Which I think is still relevant to those of us who are here, right? But because the audience has changed a bit from what we were hoping it would be, we would like everyone to sort of think of a topic that you may need some clarification on, right? Please, folks, we have to eat halal meat. Please don't let that be one of the questions. Meat must be halal, right? Right. So let's dig deep. Let's dig deep, elbow deep into the bag and come up with the deep question. Right? Don't put your hands down. There's not the question after that, right? Just write it down. Okay. So, inshallah, we're going to ask Sheikh Abdul to take the chair, and I see my sister over there, perfect. She got a pen and she's got a pad. I have some pencils. I have some pads. Inshallah, I'm going to pass them up for those who don't have them. So you could jot down some of your questions. And then after his presentation, then we have question and answer. Okay? But we keep in mind, what time are you traveling tomorrow?
Evening.
In the evening, oh wow. Yeah, so we'll be here for the next 5 hours. So if you're traveling in the morning, I would say 45 minutes, but he's going in the evening, you can sleep late, right? So let's have a big salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Anybody interested to talk about or?
Inshallah.
Yes. Of course, my favorite topic of the past year or so. We live in a time. We've been living in a time the past 400 years, but it seems like it's happening a lot more lately because of the cell phones. But where innocent people are being killed by the police, and the majority of them are black people, right? And my issue is that we don't see, we as Muslims talk about doing da'wah, going out and bringing people to Islam. But for some reason we seem only to care when it's a Muslim who is being persecuted, right? And so oftentimes we show up at these demonstrations that have been held by other groups like Black Lives Matter, the Hands of Coalition, and so on, and the Muslims are conspicuously absent, right? And even in the past 72 hours, it was 48 hours yesterday, we lost 4. Two of them been in the news, but it was actually 4 unarmed black males who were shot down by the police. And I'll keep listening for word from the Muslim organizations, condemning these things or making some type of statement, some type of connection. And the absence, the silence is so profound that I'm almost deaf. So I would like to make that.
Are we beginning with Q&A or are we gonna?
Yes, the chicken actually have a question or a topic. Yeah. So that would be a topic I'm interested in, is how we as Muslims could take the justice of Islam over the thin pages and put it in thick action. And why don't we? What's all about?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيبي وحبيبي إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
First of all, regarding this question, I would like to say it is very sad to hear that these lives has been lost. Islamically, to speak, there is no such thing saying that when a person got killed, if he is not from one tribe or if he's not a Muslim, then the life of that person doesn't matter. There is no such thing in Islam. As a matter of fact, when the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina and established his government in Medina, the Prophet ﷺ was giving shelter to everyone, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslims. There was never a person say, no, he's not a Muslim, so we are not going to give them the shelter, or we are not going to protect them. No, there was no such thing. The Prophet ﷺ was giving them, all of them, the protection. That is one. Number two, also, even our Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, salamullah alayhi, one of the advices that he gave to all of us, which is mentioned in Nahj al-Balagha, he mentioned to his son and to all his children, and plus all of those who might get this message, and he said, "Usikuma wa jami'a wuldi bitaqwa Allah," and then he proceeded to get to where he says, "Wa akuna lil-zalimi khasma wa lil-madlumi awna." That Imam Ali alayhi salam told all of us It said, whenever you find any injustice in any color or any shape, it says, stand by the oppressed and then stand against the oppressors. Doesn't matter which color they come from. Doesn't matter which tribe is. This word that if they are Muslim, then we demonstrate. If they are not, that has nothing to do with Islam. Islam, forget about even injustice. In Islam, even when you give sadaqah or when you help an orphan, there is no way Quran mentioned that when you have to help orphan, they have to be a Muslim. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, orphan in general, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim, as long as they are orphan, you ought to take care of them. And Quran mentioned that those who don't take care of orphans, and Quran did not mention, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ فَذَلِكَ الَّذِي يَدُعُّ الْيَتِيمِ وَلَا يَحُضُّ عَلَى طَعَامِ الْمِسْكِينِ فَوَيْلٌ لِلْمُصَلِّينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks those who don't take care of the orphans properly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, woe unto them. And the word that Quran used, al-yatim, there is no any condition that Muslim yatim. No. Orphan in general. And not only that, even in Islam, when it comes to giving and helping, Islam didn't specify they have to be a Muslim. No. Any life matters in Islam. And if a person takes a life of a person unjustly, we as a Muslim, we owe the person who got killed to stand by them and fight for their right against those who are doing injustice. So that is the Islamic teaching. So to say that no, they are not Muslim, so we are not going to do anything, that is absolutely un-Islamic. Because we have to think about this. If they finish with non-Muslims, then tomorrow Muslims will be the next target. So to defend ourselves, we have to start defending the non-Muslims as a Muslims, so that way they know that the injustice is denied under any circumstances and on any person, regardless whether they're Muslim or not. Alaikum salam.
Yeah, I think your question was good. I had a question connected to that,
Yes.
kind of. And I think that there are, well, in my opinion, I like going to different messages just to get different angles of thought as to what the leadership is thinking about and what that community is thinking about. And it does seem to me, and I could be definitely wrong, but there is deliberate deletions of conversations we're not having, and it's not being discussed from the manabir, I'm saying, and that's issues of racism in our in the larger community. So when those conversations, in my opinion, are avoided, the people, I mean, they're not going to show up because they're not thinking about this thing or that thing or whatever, you know what I mean? And alhamdulillah, but if it's not about Palestine or Iraq, I'm saying, or Karbala, or you know what I mean, then those issues aren't important because we don't talk about that. You know what I'm saying? So just what is your thinking, and how should we address that? Maybe that's the question. How should we address the fact that it seems to be a very deliberate muzzling of the imamate to not discuss issues of racism in our community, which are very clearly very prevalent.
Right. In fact, racism didn't start today. Even at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a lot of companions, they experienced racism during the time of the Prophet. But the difference was that because the leadership of the Prophet was a just leadership, and he looks at everyone equally, the way it's supposed to be. So he was able to address those issues to the point where it wasn't as that bad when he was there. But it was there, because we have so many hadith where Bilal al-Habashi was mistreated by some of the good companions, and all because of the color of his skin. And Bilal al-Habashi also, with his wisdom and his humbleness, he was able to deal with those problems nicely. Like one of the incidents that is recorded in the history, that one day Abu Dhar and Bilal al-Habashi, they had some kind of argument, misunderstanding, like trying to prove some point to each other. And then a word came, from Abu Dharr was saying to Bilal al-Habashi, they say, you are, an African, black, for example, in that word. Right? Just to disrespect Bilal al-Habashi. Bilal al-Habashi didn't respond, because see, that is one of the akhlaq. When somebody says something wrong, you don't go to that same level of that person. You should respond in the better way. So one of the things he did, he didn't say anything, he just walked away. But the Prophet ﷺ heard about it, and the Prophet was not happy about it. So the Prophet confronted Abu Dharr, and the Prophet told him, Ya Abu Dharr, innaka mru'un fika jahiliyyah. See, whatever you after it, it indicates that there is still ignorant age. Jahiliyyah is still there in you. Because after the knowledge has come, you shouldn't be saying these kind of things. Right? Abu Dharr al-Ghafari, when he heard that, he felt bad. He went to Bilal al-Habashi and he said to Bilal al-Habashi, I'm going to put my face on the floor and I want you to step on my face. Because among the Arabs, the face is one of the honored, the most respected part of the body. And under the leg is the most disrespected part. So Abu Dharr said, I'm gonna put my respected face on the floor and have you to put your foot on my face, so that I can feel that that I have gone to this far. But Bilal al-Habashi was so smart. His response was, I'm never gonna put my leg on the face that ever put on the ground for Allah. His face, which has prostrated for Allah, I will never put my face on. But I forgive you. That is the akhlaq of Bilal al-Habashi. And this happened at the time of Rasulullah. And there are so many of these examples happen at the time of the Prophet. Right? So this racism didn't start now. And then after the Prophet, it became even worse. That some of the Khulafa, historically speaking, some of the Khulafa got to the point where if you are an Arab, your treatment is different. If you are from Quraysh, your treatment is different. If you are non-Arab, your treatment is different. Your Bayt al-Mal, the way they distribute it, is based on Arab, non-Arab, and so on and so forth, which is completely racism. So this was something that was there at that time. But our time now, what it is that, unfortunately, I'm going to just mention two problems that we have today. One of the problems that we have today is, we especially, and I'm talking about A'immat al-Masajid, because they are considered the leaders of the community. But they are the one who have mind, they are the one who give the Jum'ah and Khutbah, and so on and so forth. One of the problems that we have from our A'imma is that we are not using our platform properly. We are not using our member properly. Why am I saying this? The problem is because our member is supposed to be a member that is used to speak and tell the truth, regardless of who is happy, who's not happy. A member is supposed to be a free member. An imam will be able to speak what is right and that's it. But unfortunately, that's not the case today. That is one of the problems that we have. Because most of the imams, we were hired and we were told what to say and what we can say and what we can discuss and what we cannot discuss. Then that is an issue. That's one of the problems that we have today. So imam is an imam just to give the prayer, to lead the prayer, and that's it, but he doesn't have his own opinion. That's one of the issues. The second issue we have is also we left the sunnah of the Prophet. The sunnah of the Prophet, especially Jum'ah, according to the hadith that we have, which is authentic from the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, that a Jum'ah, the two khutbahs that we have, it's supposed to be divided into two parts. One part, the first khutbah, is supposed to be about how to educate people about Islam. Anything that will bring people closer to Allah, anything that people can learn and develop in their religious knowledge or their spirituality. The second khutbah is supposed to be discussed about the current affairs. What is happening today? What is happening last week? And what is the opinion and where we stand in terms of the incident that happened. That is what the khutbah is supposed to do. Okay? And direct people what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to react in those events. But you never hear anything like that in our khutbahs. That is one of the issues. So the problem is, one is the imams, and the two, the sunnah of the Prophet is not being practiced properly. These are the two, two of the many problems that we have. Right? Otherwise, this kind of issue is supposed to be heard from the khutbahs. This issue was supposed to be discussed in the masjid, in the Jum'ahs, so people know what is happening, and then not only discuss, give people the solutions and how to react in those kind of situations. But unfortunately, we are not doing this. Our imams, they are not doing, and what can the people do? That's the issue that we have.
Assalamu Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam.
I was wondering if you still talked about a little bit about the madhabs a little bit and the differences and how they became that way.
Quickly, our madhahib, when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when the Prophet was there was never an issue about any madhab. We only have one Islam, one religion, and the Prophet was the leader, and everything was under the control of the Prophet. The issue started with the names that we have today about Imam Malik or Imam Shafi'i or other Imams or Ja'fari or Sunni. These all started after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As a matter of fact, what happened was, according to the Shia, both names, let me say both Shia and Sunnah, you can find them in the Quran. They both are there in the Quran, mentioned repeatedly in several places. But the ideology of being a Shia or being a Sunnah started after the death of the Prophet. Right? But just the word Shia to be called the followers of Ahlul Bayt, I will say the Prophet was the one who started that. And I'm not making this up. You can check tafsir that was written by one of the Sunni scholars, and the tafsir is called Tafsir Durrul Manthur. Okay, Tafsir Durrul Manthur, one of the Sunni great scholars. In his tafsir he wrote, and the surah called Surah Al-Bayyinah, he wrote underneath of that, almost the last ayah in that surah, where when the ayah was revealed, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمْ خَيْرُ الْبَرِيَّةِ. When this ayah was revealed, a companion asked the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, who are the Khayrul Bariyah? Khayrul Bariyah means the best creatures. Right? So when he asked the Prophet, who are the best creatures that Allah is talking about them in this verse, then the Prophet responded, he said, they are Ali and his Shia. That is the exact what the Prophet mentioned. Ali and his Shia, and it's mentioned in that book. The hadith was authentic, and it was mentioned by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the word Shia, you can see that it started from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but then after the Prophet, things started getting bad. That after the Prophet, the companions started arguing who will become Khalifa, the first, the third, and then after that, some group, they said, no, this Khilafah is for Imam Ali alayhi salam. And they started calling them, because, this is history. That's why I wish we have a time so I can go from where it started and then walk you through all the stages. Right. What happened was after the Prophet died, the moment the Prophet died, Muslims, they divided into three groups automatically. I will even say there are four, but most of the scholars, they categorize them into three, but they're actually four. The first group was the group of people who denied completely the death of the Prophet. There was a group of people, they said the Prophet didn't die. As a matter of fact, you check Tariq al-Tabari, Tabari told us that Umar ibn al-Khattab, he was holding a sword in front of the house of the Prophet, and he said, I dare anyone to open his mouth and say the Prophet is dead, and I will kill the person. That was one group. And the second group who says, no, the Prophet is dead, and so from now we have to elect someone, right? But who is that someone? That's they say, we don't know who's going to be, but somebody has to be the leader. That's group number two. Group number three became from Muhajirun, the immigrant, right? Those who came from Mecca to Medina, they said, look, we deserve to be the one taking care of this leadership. Because we started with the Prophet in Mecca, we struggled with him, we fought with him, and we were forced to come here. So we have the right to be the Khalifa after the Prophet. That's the third group. The fourth group, they are the Ansar. They say, no. Look, the Prophet, when he was in Mecca, nothing was able to establish. We are the one who invited the Prophet. We accepted him and we supported him until Islam became this far. So if there is anybody to become a Khalifa, it will be the Prophet. But it will be among us Al-Ansar, which is the people of Medina. Right? So you have those who were denied, and then you have those who are called Muhajirun, and then there's Ansar, and then the third group, the fourth group are the ones who say the Prophet is dead and we need to elect somebody. But whom? We don't know. It could be Muhajir, it could be Ansar, it could be someone else. Right? So later on, after back and forth, it became, which in Saqifa, there is a book written called Saqifa. When you read it, you see all the historical background, how did it started, how this went. At the end, they came, Umar bin al-Khattab, he said, Ya Abu Bakr, give me your hand. He gave his hand, he said, I chose you, you are our Khalifa. Right? And then he urged those who were there, he said, I want you to also go and give him your pledge. And they went and pledged him, and then he became Khalifa. That's how that is the summary about what happened, right? Now, up to that point, they were the leaders, they were the one making decisions and what happened, what will not happen, until Ahlul Bayt, the fullness of Ahlul Bayt. We believe that the Prophet ﷺ, after him, there is the first Imam, Imam Ali alayhi salam. So the Shia, they used to go to Imam Ali for questions and answers for everything they need at that time, because that was the setup of the Prophet. And then after the Prophet, Imam Ali, Imam Hassan, Imam Ali, Imam Hassan, and so on and so forth. But the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they also went to go to the Khalifa of that time. He was the one answering the question. So he was the one considered a leader at that point. And that's why when you go to the history, there is a book written by one of the scholars, and it's called Mahmud Abu Rayya. One of the scholars, an Egyptian scholar, his name Mahmud Abu Rayya. He wrote a book called Adwa as-Sunnah al-Muhammadiyya. Right? And that book, he mentioned that people used to come and ask the second Khalifa questions, and he used to get mad. To the point where he has a step that he used to hate some of the people who asking questions. That was, my point from this is that I want to make sure that we understand that after the Prophet, the Khulafa was the one who people were going back to them to ask them questions. Right? Now, this happened until the time of Imam Ali. After Imam Ali, what happened was, I'm talking about if you follow about the four Khilafah, which is Abu Bakr, and then Umar, and then Uthman, and then Ali. After Imam Ali, things started to get changed. Right? Now, what happened is they opened the doors of Ijtihad. Ijtihad means a person who get knowledge and can go through the Quran and come up with Islamic rule will come and give the fatwa. What should happen? What should happen? So they opened the door and people were coming to give the ijtihad. Right? And this started right after that, and then it continued. And by the way, today we hear four madhabs. When you go back to the history, there were hundreds of madhabs. To become four was to do with the politics. There's politics involved by the Bani Umayyah. They shot some of them down and then encouraged some of them and supported some of them. And that's how it became four. Otherwise, for example, when you go to Imam Malik, when he was in Medina, Imam Malik was there, Imam Ja'far was there. Imam Ja'far was his teacher. But at that time, Imam Malik was the only person who was allowed to give fatwa, and nobody else. Well, his teacher was there. And he said, Imam Malik says, you know, whatever I feel, anything in my heart, like sorrow or sadness, I go to look at Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq and everything disappear in my heart. That's what he says. And he says, this is true. I said, I have never seen a person on the planet who is more pious and more knowledgeable than Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. Well, he confirms that Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq is more knowledgeable, but when it comes to fatwa, he is the one who gives fatwa. You come to Abu Hanifa, he was also encouraged there and supported by the rulers. So the actual madhab was more than one, more than two. It was more, but it was restricted to the four because of the leaders of Bani Umayyah and Bani al-Abbas. They were the one who restricted them to the four because of their own interests. Because they were good with some, and some were even, supporting their cause. So they backed them up, they gave them money, they supported them, and they gave them the opportunities so they can go as much as they can go with their support. So that is what, yes.
What about the story of after Prophet Muhammad finished his last Hajj and he stopped everyone, identified young Ali as the next Khalifa? What about that story? What's the...
If I want to be fair, historically, there is two sides of this story. One side of the Ahlul Bayt school of thought, first of all the Muslims agreed because cases in the Quran, you cannot deny it. اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم, all the tafsir, تفسير الطبري, تفسير الكبير, فخر الرازي, تفسير الزمخشري, الكشاف, they all mention the incident because it's in the Quran. But the school of thought were changed or about the story based on the school of thought. For example, Shia school of thought, they narrated the incident took place. And the Prophet said, Man kuntu mawla fahada alimu. Right? Now the word mawla is where the differences came from. For the Shia school of thought, they say the word mawla means a master, a leader. Right? But the Sunni school of thought, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they say yes, the Prophet did use the word. But the word mawla does not mean a leader. It means a friend. So the whole thing that happened in Ghadir is nothing but the Prophet wants to declare Imam Ali as a friend and nothing else. So that does not justify that Imam Ali alayhi salam is the Khalifa according to the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. But the Shia school of thought, they say no. If you look at the circumstances and what happened and what the Prophet said, there is nothing to believe that the Prophet wants to say his friend, because first of all, Muslims are brothers and friends anyway. So why would the Prophet stood in the middle of the desert and stop thousands of people just to say Imam Ali is my friend? So there is this school, two school of thought in that regard.
Okay. I have a question from one of the sisters. Right.
I just turn to see this school. When we time of salat, then we can stop and do the salat and then continue after that.
Do salat and then come.
Yes, I think it's a time of salat. So I can take this question,
Okay.
and then after that we do salat, and then after salat we can continue.
Okay. The question is, can you use marijuana for health reasons if it is recommended by a doctor?
Marijuana, as we know, they said it makes a person. If it makes a person, first of all, let me say that in Islam we have a rule that anything, whether it's something you drink or something you eat or something you sniff, if it's going to take you from your normal life, normal situation, right, make you high, let me say, it's haram in Islam. That is what our Maraja says, because they have hadith, authentic way says, kullu muskirin haram. Everything that takes your mind away is haram. Alright. Now based on that, they said, marijuana, since it takes that, it does something similar to that, they say it's haram. Right. But now comes the question, if a doctor prescribed that this is something that you need, right, and you know that you can find equivalent of it in some medicine, right, then you cannot take it. But if no, for example, I said the doctor said that's the only thing you need, you cannot take anything except this, then I suggest to check with your marja and get his fatwa in this matter before you proceed or not to proceed. Yes.
Right. Well, in that case,
just going off that, there's some they kind of change it to like make it like oil or something like that, where it doesn't necessarily influence you in that way. So what about that? Like they can change it, the marijuana to an oil and still use it that way.
But it's going to make you high when
No, I don't think it
No,
does.
they have a
If it's
extract.
changed, it's changed.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't have that. See, the bottom line is, if it even if let's say the water, right? The water takes your mind away, it becomes haram.
Right.
Because the actual cause of haram hurma is taking your mind away.
Right.
If they're able to take that from it, then it becomes halal.
Right.
Because the actual cause of the hurma is because it takes your mind away. So if you find that maybe one way or another you are able to take that away, where if you use the lotion or if you drink it or you apply it or sniff it and it doesn't have that effect, then it becomes halal.
in that case, inshallah, we'll take a break now for salat, and and after Salat, we shall continue.